Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J. Live from the Den, Legacy Internet Radio. Thank you to everyone who is listening to us right now. Thank you to those folks that have been listening to the show since the beginning. And a very special thank you to our sister Grace Gilliam. That was a fabulous, fabulous interview. I was so happy and honored to have the opportunity to speak with her. And that song, Remember How to Love, just touched my heart. Of course, written by our sister Angel Scott. So if you guys want to get that song, she gave you all the information. Go ahead and get that song so that you can make sure that you can hear it anytime you want to. I feel like it's going to be in normal rotation for me. And so we appreciate our sister Grace Gilliam. She's from Richmond, y'all. So we got to make sure that we share all the love that we can with our sister. Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J. Live from the Den, Legacy Internet Radio, continuing on in the show. We got a couple of special guests that we are going to introduce. We got one on the live line I'm going to come to here in just a moment, but one in the studio that I want to say peace to. We affectionately refer to this brother as the teenager. He's the teenager. We call him the teenager because he is Miss Tony's teenager. We got this young brother called Amiri is in the building with us. What's up, Amiri?
Hello.
Really?
What's up, brother? It's good to see you, man. And, you know, every time I see you, I said, man, we got to get you in the studio. And now we got you in the studio. I don't know how much you're going to want to jump in here with us tonight, but you're here. And so we appreciate it. Thank you, brother. It's good to see you, man.
Thank you, my brother.
And he is the videographer for those folks who are listening. You may have seen that we uploaded the video, and he is the official videographer, at least for the night, on Legacy Internet Radio. So we got Amiri in the building. He is the teenager. He is Tony's teenager. And, of course, joining us on the live line, you hear from this brother from time to time when we have an opportunity to build with him. He is my brother and my partner and my oldest friend. We got our brother, K-Dub, is on this joint. What's up, man?
Peace and blessings to all of those that can hear my voice. What's going on, y'all?
Nah, we chilling, man.
Hey, K-Dub.
Hey, what's going on, Miss Lady? How you doing?
I'm wonderful. How are you?
I'm good. I'm very good. I haven't talked to you in a while.
Yeah, it's been a long minute.
Hey, Doug, say
a long minute.
Yeah.
What they say, a month is Sunday.
Yes.
month of Sundays. Word. Hakeem is checking in with us tonight. Our brother Hakeem.
Big hot. Hey, 502,
Hakeem.
baby. He know what it is.
Yeah, he know what it is. Hakeem, it's good to hear from you, brothers. Guys, glad to have you on. K-Dub, say peace to the teenager, man.
Peace. What's going on, bro? I was wondering who was in there doing all the videography or what have you. Good job. Keep up the good work.
Thank you.
Yeah, he says thank you.
Hey, I went to school for video and radio production. So hey, if you stick with it, it can take you a lot of places.
Yeah, you hear that, man? Hey, look, Hakeem is checking back in with you. He said 502, baby, and so so he, you know, it's been quite a while since we had you both plugged in at the same time. So it's a lot of love. Jersey City, New Jersey is checking in. Kata, before we get into tonight's business, you want to shout out Jersey City and mention anything that we know of that's going on? Hint.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I want to shout out to everybody that can hear my voice in Jersey City, and also make mention to something kind of special that's happening this weekend. Due to social media, there were a group of guys, a number of us that have played high school basketball in Jersey City. Well, last year it was started where we wanted to recognize some of the homies that may have passed on. So we had a game last year. I personally didn't participate in the game. I live all the way in Georgia, what have you. But we recognized Jason Bush, who passed away a couple of years ago. So this year we're recognizing Roscoe Harris in Legends game, and there's going to be more individuals playing in this particular game, a number of standouts in the Jersey City area. It's going to be held at Baby Ruckers, for all of those that don't know. That's downtown Jersey City. And a lot of successful basketball players in Jersey City will be participating. You have Roy Hairston that played for Snyder High School, Rashawn McLeod, St. Anthony's, Jamal Curry, St. Anthony's, Bobby Morgan, St. Aloysius. A number of different players from all different schools, but more so it's just an opportunity for a lot of brothers to come home, enjoy each other's company, but also keeping in mind all of those brothers that passed away that played the beautiful game of basketball. So be on the lookout this weekend. Again, Legends game, 1 o'clock at Baby Ruckus downtown. If you're available, come through. From what I understand, may have a little barbecue and a DJ out there as well. So just trying to do something positive in Jersey City, you know.
I can dig it. I can dig it. If I'm able, I'll be there. You know, that's home,
True.
So it don't take much for me to make that trip up there. So keep your ears open.
And I know I missed the number. A lot of guys that's going to be participating this weekend. A lot of guys from back in the '80s as well. Neil King, Darren Tinsley from Ferris. I mean, I could go on and on and on.
Nah, I can dig it. Ain't no half Steppin, Marcus J. Live from the Den, Legacy Internet Radio. All right, y'all ready to rock and roll and kind of have some discussion of the week's news, fair, foul, what the hell, all that kind of stuff. All right, Tony, I want you up on this joint first. We know that yesterday, August 9th, was the anniversary, the 1-year anniversary of the killing of Michael Brown in Ferguson, Missouri. Michael Brown, of course, was the young man that was killed by the police officer. I believe his name was Darren Wilson. Darren Wilson was not charged. Actually, he was not indicted, I should say, for the killing. And he is a free man, and Michael Brown is a dead man. He was the young man we remember who was on surveillance video having a verbal altercation with the store clerk. Apparently there was a police APB that was put out, and when the police happened upon Mike Brown, who was unarmed, he ended up dead, and there was no charges filed. Now, the reason why I'm bringing this up is a couple things. For the first thing, Tony, I want to show you something. I'm showing Tony and the teenager. I'm referring to you, Mary, as a teenager, by the way, just so you know. It's easier for me.
Yes.
But it shows, K-Dub and Tony, I want you to comment first. It shows Michael Brown's tombstone, and obviously it has been altered. It's not real, but it says, in memory of Michael Brown, Michael O.D. Brown, May 20th, 1996 to August 9th, 2014, there once was a thug named Brown who bum-rushed a cop with a frown. 6 bullets later, he met his creator. He's in the ground, is basically what it says. We know that there was some protests yesterday in Ferguson that were peaceful until the police showed up, and then it got violent. There were shootouts. There was a young man who was friends with Michael Brown who wound up shot and in critical condition. And the last time I checked, he's still with us. But I want to kind of talk about this, mostly not so much because we need to talk about Mike Brown. We've been there, done that. You know what I mean? We'll never get over talking about it, but I think the facts of that case we've done enough of. What I want to talk about is what possesses anybody to desecrate the memory of anybody, regardless of who they were or how they died, by putting words like thug, 6 bullets later in the ground, in a tombstone. What do you think, Tony?
I think that just like that firefighter who lost his job because of comments that he posted about, you know, harm that should come to police officers because of their actions. I think that everybody who is affiliated with or supported this, you know, I don't even know if it's like a real, you know, tombstone, should at least lose their jobs. I know that legally nothing is going to happen to them, but it's just, it's sad and it's sick. You know, again, it doesn't matter what, you know, Mike Brown did in his life, but he was still a person, and again, you know, he's no longer with us. So just the heartlessness and the ruthlessness of people is disgusting and despicable, and I hope that they should have to have some sort of repercussions.
K-Dub, I don't know if you've seen the video, but you've definitely heard the setup. What's your thoughts on this whole thing, man? It's the anniversary of the death of Michael Brown, Ferguson, Missouri.
Same way, same manner. That's how I'm gonna put it. Same way, same manner.
Okay.
Basically, you know, this is basically going right along with a lot of the things that I've done in regards to previous cases of individuals, more so black people, black men particularly, getting murdered, assassinated, so on and so forth. And the other side, whoever that may be, make clowns or clowning of it. I mean, Jesus, you just had old girl that quote unquote committed suicide in a jail, and then a couple of days later you had someone mocking that by putting, I believe it was a teddy bear figure being hung in a room. You've had numerous individuals, even on the the fire station up in New York. You had imitations of, something may happen on this part of USA, and then a few days later is being made a mockery of, to black people, because black people are the ones that's being assassinated or killed. It's a sad situation. Unfortunately, it's something that we have to deal with on, now every 2 weeks, every week. It's just sad, man. And there's no one thing that you can say.
Let me introduce this question.
Alleviate it.
Let me introduce this question here, and I want Tony again to jump in here first. We look at the incidences, and there's a more recent incident that I'm going to get to in a minute. So if you know what I'm talking about, hold your comment on that, because I want to speak to that directly. But is there an element of white privilege at work here? And the reason why I ask that question, I ask it that way, is because I found myself in discussions with white people, and I think, let me just digress for a second. I think a lot of times people think that you're a bigot or a racist anytime that you are black and you say white people, or anytime you're white and you say black people, just because you utter the name of another race, and you're critical of their behavior doesn't make you a racist by definition. Let's just kind of set that tone first. But is there an element of white privilege going on with regards to how this was reported, with regards to how there is behavior with regards to this tombstone, or is there just a level of, shall we say, sensitivity because we happen to look like the deceased? And it's just your opinion.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, Tony first, but I want you on that same question, dog. Tony first.
I would say possibly a little bit of all of those. As far as the white privilege, kind of the one of my thoughts is that all the supporters aren't necessarily white. So there are other people and other races represented there that could possibly support that page and that posting as well. But I do think that, yes, some things that are said and done, a lot of things that are said and done come along with that. Well, we can because we're white and we're the majority here. And what can you do?
Right. No, I can dig it. Dub, same question.
I believe that the white privilege does come into the place. It's the mindset of white supremacy. And we have to also understand that some of the things that are being done by, individuals that don't look like you and I, they may be done, or that mindset is done unbeknownst to themselves. There's certain things or characteristics or way that white people think that, to us, we'd be like, wow, that's a little, that's borderline racist, or, it's a white supremacy method of thinking that they don't realize that it goes on. Right. So there are a number of things that, it falls under that umbrella of white privilege. There's a number of things that, look at, I live in Georgia. Just, I want to say maybe 2 weeks ago, they had a rally, Confederate flag / KKK rally up in Stone Mountain. And there were two white dudes that was arguing or what have you. And the one dude, now I have to preface this, the one dude that, let's say, is not with the Confederacy and the KKK, he basically went up there and told somebody else, watch this, I know that I can get away with this because I'm white, and he antagonized the other individual. So, we see it, so...
Is that
it's out there.
Is that white privilege? Again, because my question is, are we being sensitive? And I've always said that one of the definitions of white privilege is benefiting from the privilege without realizing that you have the privilege. And so I can point out to you the fact that, there are a lot of cases where, black people are not given the benefit of the doubt when they come upon law enforcement, whereas white folks are. They're going to give you that recent case of the young 19-year-old white boy that was killed by the police recently. I think it was a week or two ago. He was shot in the back by the police. And that's just as sad as, you know, all of these cases where, you know, as people of African descent where this happens. And so I don't want to be that guy who is not going to speak on that case. But at the end of the day, when we look at the numbers, you know, they did a study, K-Dub, that said that of the over 1,000 people that were killed since Michael Brown was killed, about half of them was white. But you know what? They represent more than triple the amount of black people in this country, and black people were twice as likely to be killed by the police than the white people. And so again, I ask, is there an element of white privilege here? Which I'm probably preaching to the choir, but I'm going to go out on a limb and get your opinion on this.
I think so, and I'm quite sure if we had probably a white dude here, he probably would say the opposite of that. That's just my opinion.
Possibly. Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J. Live from the Den Legacy Internet Radio. Thank you to those folks that are listening to us on TuneIn. We appreciate you for pulling up www.legacyinternetradio.com, as well as checking out our podcast right now if you're listening to us in the future on YouTube. This next one I want to get to, Tony, again, I'm coming back to you. I want you on in this one first. A lot of people are up in arms because there's been another case of a young black male who has been killed by the police. I think this one is different than the others. That's just my opinion. I won't get into why until it's my turn to speak. I will speak after you and Dub, but I will set it up. I'm getting this one from Reuters. This is the young black male in Texas. He's 19-year-old Christian Taylor. He was shot 4 times by Arlington police officer Brad Miller, who's 49-year-old rookie. Johnson was of course killed by the police. There's surveillance video of him on the grounds of a car dealer. At the car dealer, you can see him in the surveillance video jumping up and down on cars and basically being a jackass, vandalizing cars. Then you see him again on surveillance video in his own car ramming the front door of the car dealer. And then what you do not see is the verbal and subsequent physical altercation that he had with the police that led to him being shot fatally. So, Tony, I'll come to you. His family is saying that he was a good guy. He was family-oriented. He was an A student. He had everything going for him. He had recently given his life to God. There are a lot of nice things that can be said about some really nice people and nice things that can be said about some really not nice people. Me personally, well, I'm not going to tip my hand on what I think, but I think you can tell by the tone of how I set that up what I may think. But I want to ask you first what you think. Tony, you're up first.
First off, I'm as frustrated as I am and as tired as I am of hearing people, you know, when we do hear the victims, the Eric Garners, the Mike Browns, you know, how people quickly jump to, oh, well, he did this beforehand, and then everybody's like, well, it doesn't matter, you know, he wasn't doing anything at the time. You still have to, especially in this situation, like you said, this one is different because you were doing something illegal. And I'm not saying that it's okay for, you know, for them to have killed him. And actually, to tell you the truth, I actually saw something the other day. I was on the internet and I saw that, I hadn't heard because I don't watch the news, that, you know, another young black male had been killed by the police. And I didn't have the desire to look into the details because I just, my heart, my spirit, I'm so tired of it. I'm tired of hearing about it. I'm tired of seeing it, and it needs to stop. As far as what happened from the time when that video stopped to the time of him losing his life, you know, I don't know what happened. I don't know how much, if there were witnesses who saw what happened. But again, from what I hear, it doesn't sound like his crime, I'm using air quotes, warranted him dying in the process.
Dub, hold your thoughts, teenager. What you got, brother?
Well, what I really feel like is a life is a life, and you know, regardless of what he did or what he was charged with or anything, whatever they're saying about him, it doesn't really matter about all that because he's still a person. And if he stole something or hit somebody's car or was at the dealership messing with people, he didn't harm anybody. And he definitely didn't harm a police officer. So I don't see the reason for being shot 4 times, remind you, 4 times over something as petty as jumping on cars.
I can dig it. Ain't no hashtag with Marcus J. Dub, jump in here, man. What you got?
I think it's a real sad situation that, young cat was killed. 2, I don't condone him acting a damn fool. I saw a little bit of the video, but it also, the first thing I thought was, what's in his system? I would definitely like to see what, if anything, was in his system, because it just looks like erratic behavior, especially compared to a number of the things that I've heard about his past. They also, let's keep in mind, you have a 49-year-old rookie on the police force. He shot the kid, but the seasoned veteran police officer, from what I understand, tased him. And that, that scenario, it just, I wonder why a number of officers don't use the taser in more situations, especially when you're dealing with a kid that more than likely he probably was unarmed. So there's a number of whys or what have you, but none of those answers to the why question is going to bring that young brother back. But I would be remiss if I didn't mention, or better yet, question what the toxicology may come back and say, because the behavior that I saw on that video is just real erratic, and especially with what has been said about the young man. So it's a tough situation,
right.
And I don't want to sit here on some old black-white thing or cops against black people. I just think that particular officer was just too much on guard and shot the young brother. I would have rather them save him.
What you think, teenager?
Well, I'd like to say, you already know after his death and everything, they're most likely in the media, he's going to be painted as a gangster or a thug, or he was doing all types of criminal activities, and they're going to bring up all the stuff he's done in his life. But at the end of the day, he's dead, and the cop is most likely going to be free after they put him on a show trial.
Wow. Nah, that's a good point. When I hear this one, man, you guys kind of stole a little bit of my thunder. But I think this one is different because we see him pretty much acting a damn fool. As far as the reason why he was acting a fool, we don't know. And hopefully the toxicology will tell us what the deal was. And there's a story that I'm going to touch on later on. Actually, not even later on. We can talk about it now when we talked about the guy who shot up the movie theater getting life in prison. Instead of getting the death penalty. And I'm pretty sure that he got the death penalty because he pled insanity. And how I see a correlation is, me personally, I don't think that I'm under the influence or I'm crazy is an excuse for poor behavior with regards to there being consequences. And so if he was high on drugs, and I'm talking about this young brother in Texas, if he was high on drugs that led him to do that, absolutely he should get the same penalty that he would get for vandalism if he was of a clear and sound mind. But the penalty for tearing up some shit is not death. It's just not death. You don't get to die because you went and you tore up some stuff. And so I think we live in a time where, to be quite honest with you, it's just easier to shoot somebody than it is to talk them down or to try to police them properly. It's just easier to shoot them. A lot of times people would much rather go through the process, unless you get in a minute, Dub. People would rather go through the process of going to jail, possibly, or going through a trial, possibly, or going through the scrutiny of having to explain your decision, as opposed to doing the right thing, which may have been figuring out what the hell was going on with a 19-year-old kid who rammed his car through a car dealer. That's not normal behavior. Who does that? Something was going on with him, Dub. Jump in here, man. I know you want to get in.
Well, that points to a number of things that I've said before, whereas, the mentality of individuals, the first thing that, whenever you see, and I could be wrong, but from the outside looking in, it seems as though that whenever a black person does something that might be taken as either wilding out, disrespectful, or whatever like that, the first thing is we're going to take him down. How many times have we seen situations where a young brother or sister is killed by a police officer, but yet I've seen situations where you've had a white guy that had multiple firearms and they talked him down. They talked to him. They didn't shoot at the man. They talked to him. It's just that imbalance of what it may be mentally ingrained in you to see a black person and just know he's up to no good. And it's like I said, man, it's hard because there's not really one single thing that you can say to be like, okay, yeah, they're going to stop, or this is going to stop. There's no switch that you can switch on or off.
Right. You know how Steppin with Marcus J live from the Den. Legacy Internet Radio. We're the flagship show every single Monday night at 7 p.m. Thank you for checking us out. This next one, before we take a break, this one pissed me off, y'all. This one really made me mad. I got to be honest with you. I'm getting this one from the root. Dub, I want you in on this one first. And allow me an opportunity to completely set this one up. It's a little bit long, but you'll understand why I want to take the time to set it up completely before I jump in and get comments. This is in Alabama. He's a police officer. He was recorded for saying a black man should be killed and his death covered up. Alexander police officer Troy Middlebrooks. He kept his job, and he continues to patrol the neighborhood even after reportedly being caught on recording referring to a black resident as, quote, that N-word, and suggested the killing him and hiding the evidence. Wow. He was disciplined, though. Disciplined in air quotes after he made the statements in May of 2013. He still goes out there. According to the report, the resident about whom he was making those comments was being paid $35,000 in an attempt by authorities to avoid a public lawsuit. The payment was made to Vincent Bias, who is black, after a recording of Middlebrooks' comments was played to the city's police chief and mayor. I'm getting this one from the root, who got it from The Guardian. In the recording, Middlebrooks referred to Bias as, quote, that N-word who needs a goddamn bullet, is what he said. This town is ridiculous. This is what Bias told The Guardian. Bias, of course, is the potential victim. The police here feel they can do whatever they want, and they often do. Middlebrooks was a 33-year-old veteran of the U.S. Marines. He made the threats to Bias's brother-in-law during a stop at the home where Bias was visiting. Police were at the home because of an unleashed dog. Although Bias was inside the house and couldn't hear, Middlebrooks reportedly complained to Bias's brother-in-law, who is white, that he was tired of, quote, that N-word getting out of jail. It was reportedly not Middlebrooks and Bias's first encounter since Middlebrooks had arrested Bias on drug charges earlier that year. Bias, of course, was later released on bail. Something's going on with that effing lawyer he knows and that effing judge or something. This is what Middlebrooks can be heard saying on the recording. Now, what prompted the brother-in-law to record Middlebrooks was the officer's alleged statement where he said, quote, the police were going to pull Bias aside on a routine traffic stop and Bias would get killed. The brother-in-law got a voice recorder that Bias had been carrying with him, reportedly to get evidence of harassment by said police. The brother-in-law then continued the conversation with Middlebrooks. On the recording, this is what The Guardian notes, Middlebrooks accused Bias of being threatening to his own relatives. The officer said that if it was him, he would effing kill that mother effer with whatever I had in the effing house. And before the police got here, I'd effing put marks all over my shit and make it look like he was trying to effing kill me. I goddamn guarantee you what it would look like, self-effing defense, F that piece of shit. I'm a lot different from a lot of these folks. I'll effing tell you what's on my effing mind. That mother effer there needs a goddamn bullet. There's more. I think we got it. K-Dub, you're up first. This is a police
Okay.
officer saying this.
Yes, yes. But check this out. Think about what I stated when we were talking about the previous story. A mindset already set to know that. Think about what he said. I know something's going on between him, the lawyer, and the judge. If I'm not mistaken, I read on the bottom of the article he was being pulled over for like minor traffic things or whatever like that. Minor things. It wasn't like he was out here beating people up or killing or threatening or robbing or anything like that. But yet this police officer in Alabama, if I'm not mistaken, in Alabama, his mindset is, I would kill him and I would make it look like self-defense. What is that? I mean, and now, how many like-minded people, how many people on the police force think like that? How many people in the judicial system think like that? How many judges think like that? How many people walking around think like that? It speaks for itself. It speaks for itself, and I'm glad that the guardian, who happens to be, his brother, happens to be white, which is his brother-in-law, he recorded it. Because here's the thing. In the bigger scheme of things, now we got these recordings, even though it doesn't really make a difference because people are getting off, even though you're on the tape actually killing someone. You have recordings, you have audio recordings. Let's say 15, 20 years ago, we didn't have any of that. We wouldn't have known about a lot of this stuff due to social media. But, I mean, listen, as much as people want to say things have changed, obviously over the past year, you can probably take a story every week through this country and it'll show you in black and white that things have not changed, no matter what part of the country you're in.
I can dig it. Ain't no ass Steppin, Marcus J. Tony, what's your thoughts on this?
I actually read the whole article, and Mr. Bias, who is, the gentleman who they paid the $35,000, seems to think that, he's being harassed because he's dating a white woman or he's married to a white woman, which is, the brother-in-law's sister. So, and they, they state how this police officer, was in the Marines and, that makes him so much better because he was actually in the Marines. And they also stated too, I think they talked to the sheriff or chief of police or whomever and said that he was disciplined somehow, but he still has his job. So, again, it's not surprising because, I'm sure those types of conversations happen all the time, at least amongst police officers. He was just dumb enough to actually say it to somebody who wasn't a police officer, and it was recorded.
Teenager?
How disrespectful that they paid $35,000.
Yeah, $35,000.
35. Teenager, what you got? Teenager?
Oh, wow.
Well, I feel like it just makes me sick, this whole situation, because honestly, if something were to happen to the gentleman that he made the remarks about, he would the police officer would most likely get off with said crime. And it's already been recorded, but with this justice system, he's probably still going to get off if something were to go down.
You know how crazy it is? It's crazy that, as a young man, you already have that kind of analysis of our justice system. And that's sad. That's real sad because you have so many people that are walking around saying that, it's a different time and we've made so much progress and all this kind of stuff. And to me, it's not really we made so much progress. It's the difference between watching Adam West and Christian Bale. It's still Batman. You know what I'm saying? There's no difference. It's still Batman. So, I mean... you talk about Jim Crow versus James Crow Esquire. It's still, a system that is broken and a system and a constitution that was not written with us in mind. It just wasn't. And so it frustrates me and it makes me really, really sad that a young person has already made that kind of analysis and has already thought about that and has an opinion on it. Ain't no half stepping, Marcus J. Live from the Den. Legacy Internet Radio. We're going to take a break. And when we come back, we're going to talk some more. I want to ask you about some religion. We're going to get into a religious discussion on the other side. Yeah, maybe we're going to talk about him, maybe not. But we're going to talk about some religion on the other side. And we're going to talk about a basketball team that was disqualified for a very interesting reason. Marcus J., I got K-Dub, I've got Miss Tony, and I got the teenager. And you know, I have Steppin, Marcus J. Live from the Den. Legacy in that radio. K-Dub, hold the line. We'll be back in a few minutes.